You won the Tour de France 7 times. You obviously trained like a demon, pushed yourself to the limits. You beat everyone in the competition, and they were all doing the same thing you were doing.
Right.
Yet you're the one who's demonized, and yet you're the one who takes all the grief for it.
Yep. Yeah.
And there's a situation that happens when you're involved. You're involving money. You're involving sponsors. Once you first start. Once the ball starts rolling, and the first deception has been launched out there into the ether.
Yep.
There's no way to take it back if you want to keep racing.
Yep. And that's the thing. I mean, people. Look, I mean, my story, and I hear you loud and clear, and you can say that. I can never say that. You know, if I were to say things like that, people would nuke me.
But it is what it is.
It is what it is. But that's anyhow. There was the doping, okay, which led to the lying, right, which led to the treatment of other people. I think by and large, people can have the perspective that you have. They can say, look, looks to me like everybody did it. So, okay. Then they can look to the line, and that's where they really start to not like it. They say, this guy lied to us repeatedly. But of course, you get, you know, there's no defense to that, but if I could share any personal insight, I mean, once you lie once, you just keep lying, you keep lying. It's not as if I'm going to sit here, you know, if this is 15 years ago, and Joe, you're a nice guy, and I mean, if I was on this podcast, I would have lied to your fucking face 1,000,000 times, just so you know. I would have.
Just so you know.
Just so you know. But that's not a surprise to you or anybody else. But once you're in there, it's not as if I'm going to go, you know, this guy Joe seems like a really nice guy. I think I'm going to be honest with him.
It's too much money. There's no
way.
way.
You can't. Once
you can't.
that, yeah. So
No.
I was stuck, for lack of a better word, in that lie or that deception. But then the way that I took my competitive nature, which served me well in training and in racing, and took it into the real world, took it into a press conference, took it into a personal relationship, took it into former teammates, my relationship with that's the part where people go, okay, fuck this guy forever.
Right.
I'm done. And so that, you know, you got sort of the 3 phases. None of them are good, but as it got further away, that, you know, lack of respect for others is the thing that totally fucked me. And, you know, to that, I would say to anybody that I understand, and I may be in their timeout forever. I have, and the only thing I will add that may sound like I'm trying to defend myself is I've tried to make amends with all those people, right? The ones that we all know, the ones people talk about. I've traveled the world. I've sat with them. I've looked them in the eyes and said, what I did was totally unacceptable, and I'm sorry. And almost everybody has accepted the apology, and we've moved on. But that doesn't get to this you know, this crowd of people that you can't sit with face to face, and you can't say you're sorry. I mean, I can talk to you. We can talk about it. Some people may view that as an apology or not, but the ones that I could go sit with, I did, and that's all that I would add to that. I mean, I'm proud that most of those people, and I say most, not everybody, because not everybody's ready, but most of those people said, you know what, we're good, we're done. And so if it was my son and he acted that way, first of all, I'd say, what the fuck are you doing? You can't act that way. But I had nobody was standing over me going, dude,
Right.
what are you, you're acting like an asshole. Nobody did that. So, but if my son did that, I would say, you get over there and you make it right with that person. So that's where it is, and here we go.
You're also in this bizarre position at the time to be the only famous cycler in the entire country.
Cyclist.
Cycler? Isn't that it?
No, that's
A cycler is cycling drugs. A cyclist. Biker. But a biker is like Sons of Anarchy.
And that's, yeah. I kind of got burned out on that series. But, yeah.
I mean,
the story,
a lot of weight to carry around.
Yeah.
And then there's the cancer organization, there's Livestrong.
All of it.
There's a lot of weight you're carrying around.
It was. I speak to it all the time. I mean, it was a huge wave.
But you're also balancing out so much good with this lie, and this lie is helping all is good.
Right.
Like the Livestrong Foundation is generating hundreds of millions of dollars, helping all these people with cancer. I've seen you in the hospitals with these kids, and it makes me having kids myself, it makes me cry.
Yep.
Seeing these kids with face masks on because their immune system's so compromised and they don't have any hair and they're just devastated.
Yep.
And you're hanging out with these kids, and you're generating all this positive energy for them, generating all this money, all this research that's being funded. So
Yep.
there's all this good as well. You start telling the truth, that stops.
Well, we know what happens because it happened.
Yeah, it did happen.
It happened, and
It
we know.
dried up. I don't see any of those fucking bracelets anymore.
No,
Remember
so
those goddamn things were everywhere.
yeah, they were. We had a good run, man. 85 million bracelets.
Yeah.
But look, I mean, I don't want anybody to be mistaken. My interests were selfish. I mean, I was defending myself and protecting myself. But at the same time, it wasn't just myself I was protecting. I was protecting the sport. I was protecting our sponsors. I was protecting the tour. I was protecting the foundation. And you know, it's just hard to say I'm gonna stop. And what we just said, I mean, we now know on all of those things, right? We know what's happened to the foundation. We know what's happened to the sport. We know what's happened to the sponsor. We know, and we can now see. It was a devastating toll, and you know, most would say, well, that's all your fault, Lance, and maybe they're right, but it's been, you know, it especially on the foundation side, dude. It breaks my heart to see that the effect it's had on their effectiveness.